Hello dear students, welcome to the another video tutorial of mammalian histology. So before this session we have completed the glands associated with the digestive system. From today's session we will engage with the respiratory organs, the histological study of the respiratory organs. Okay, so the respiratory system consists of nose, okay, then will be nasopharynx, then larynx, okay, then trachea and bronchi and the lungs. Okay, so from this uh, point for today's discussion will be uh, the trachea. Okay, so the trachea, or it also known as the windpipe, okay, as you can see in this picture. Okay, so trachea is, we have seen esophagus, okay, and just from the front side, just trachea or the windpipe is situated, and below this trachea there is the location for the esophagus, from which the food substances are going to reach in the stomach. Okay, then what is this trachea of windpipe is going to that from the nose the air is inhaled, and this trachea or this windpipe is the uh, providing the lumen for these gases to travel from the this pipe through the bronchi, okay, after the lungs. Okay, and there the in lungs the oxygen is um, get mixed with the uh, deoxygenated blood, okay, and then the carbon dioxide taken in place of that, and that is again exhaled from this nose by this wind cavity or this windpipe only. Okay, so the respiratory system consists of nose, nasopharynx, the larynx and the trachea, the bronchi and the lungs. Okay, so the trachea or this windpipe is a 10 to 11 centimeter long fibrocartilages. Okay, so what type of the cartilage are made up of this trachea? Nothing but the trachea is made up of from the fibrocartilaginous material. Okay, and this fibrocartilaginous tube of the lower respiratory tract, and upper respiratory tract will be from the nose to the trachea. Okay, that will be that nose, and nasopharynx and larynx will be the upper respiratory tract, and the trachea, bronchi uh, up to the lungs will be the lower respiratory tract. Okay, so it going to form the trunk of the tracheobronchial tree. Okay, the tracheobronchial tree. If you take this invert this trachea, okay, you will be see that the tree, okay, just downward direction, the up down tree like structure you can see. Okay, so that's why it's said as the tracheobronchial tree. Okay, so these trachea going to extend, okay, from the pulmonary conducting zone, okay, and this trachea extends between the larynx, thorax, consisting two parts named as the cervical and the thoracic cavities. Okay, so this trachea going to end at the level of the sternal angles, okay, where it going to divide into two main bronchi or the bronchus, okay, where the it path is divided into the two directions towards the two lungs. Okay, so this sternal angles where it going to divide into two main bronchus, one for each lung. There is a pair of lung present in humans. Okay, so as you can see in the picture, the pair of lungs, and that going to divide by these two bronchi, okay, towards the each lung. Okay, then main function of the trachea is to transport air in and out, okay, of the lungs during the act of the breathing, and that is nothing but the our respiratory system consists the main function known as the for the breathing purposes. Okay, and that breathing going to inhale the all gases, and where in the lungs there are the alveoli cells, okay, where the oxygen is going to replace, and that oxygen is going to mixed with the deoxygenated blood, and that again supply that towards the heart to pump out the oxygenated supply to the various part of the body. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, okay, you are going to see the upper respiratory tract like the nasal cavity, okay, the opening, and that nasal cavity opening continues to the these soft palate or the epiglottis. Okay, the epiglottis is the uh, where these esophagus and the these trachea opening are maintained by these epiglottis. Okay, so these nasal or these nasal cavity opening is going to um, uh, pass from these soft palates, okay, whereas these epiglottis going to folded or these likewise structures, and that going to open for the when the air is inhaled, and when you are going to engulf something, at that time that epiglottis is going to cover the this tracheal opening or the larynx opening. Okay, so that these esophageal esophageal bolus, okay, and that continues in the esophagus and that reach to the stomach. Okay, whereas at the time of the breathing, that these epiglottis going to cover the esophageal opening, okay, and this air going to pass in this trachea or the windpipe. Okay, so when that windpipe is divided into two bronchus, the two main bronchus, okay, the left main bronchus as well as the right main bronchus for the right lung. Okay, where in these particular pleural cavity that air is going to enter, and at that time these segmental bronchi are providing the air supply to the lungs, where other part of the lungs, upper part of the lungs. Okay, and these segmental bronchuses are providing these pleural cuts for these particular lobes of the lungs to get the oxygen supplies. Okay, then as you can see the trachea, okay, the windpipe structure, okay, and then larynx, as you can see, esophageal opening just behind the trachea, okay, and as you can see the pharynx, the opening that head palate, the nasal cavity, okay, and the posterior nasal aperture as well as soft palate and the epiglottis. Okay, so epiglottis is protecting from the that food particle do not entered into the our the respiratory tract. Okay, so the structure of these trachea, okay, the trachea is a D-shaped fibrocartilaginous respiratory organ. Okay, so it consists of 16 to 20 tracheal cartilages, okay, that going to anteriorly and fibromuscular wall is protected by means of from these posterior regions. Okay, so the tracheal cartilages are composed of the hyaline cartilage. Okay, you know that the cartilaginous structures we have seen in the few session back. Okay, so these cartilage or the tracheal cartilages are composed by means of the hyaline cartilages. Okay, and these interconnected by these fibrostic tissues. Okay, that fibrostic tissues for the main connective tissue type. Okay, and that fibroelastic tissues are providing these hyaline cartilages or these tracheal um, material to provide the elasticity. Okay, to provide the elasticity or the elastic material in these cartilaginous bones. Okay, where it going to provide the surplus amount of the elasticity to provide for the these windpipe. Okay, so the posterior wall of this trachea is formed by these trachealinous muscles. Okay, and these trachealinous muscles are making the cartilages the appear as a complete C-shaped ring. Okay, as you going to take the cross section of the esophagus, you can see the C-shaped ring. That ring is not complete. That is not O type. Okay, that ring is C type. Okay, and that C type ring is consisting from the from frontal side frontal side, that will be uh, the the esophagus, oh sorry, the trachea, and from these the opening is there, that will be the um, consisting the esophagus is connected to the trachea. Okay, we will see that cross section in the next slide, that the structures of each wall going to make the tracheal sufficiently flexible. Okay, for the flexibility, these cartilages or these structures walls making these trachea uh, flexible. Okay, and the elastic to the permit that the translucent expansion of these esophagus during the swallowing. Okay, and that expansion, that means the expansion of this esophagus is also um, provide this rigidity as well as the elasticity by means of these hyaline cartilages are provided with these particular fibroelastic tissues. Okay, these fibroelastic tissues are having the more role in the at the time of the upper respiratory tract, as well as where that trachea is um, uh, going to connect with this esophagus. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, okay, so you can see this larynx region, that is composed of these thyroid cartilages as well as these uh, called cartilages. Okay, and these material are made up of the hyaline cartilages. Okay, and this all material is made up of the hyaline cartilage. Okay, so this trachea is from these uh, lower part of the larynx to the up to the directly connected with the lungs. Okay, so this trachea is divided into these two bronchi. Okay, and then this windpipe is divided into two part, that the two main bronchi. Okay, and that two main bronchi is again divided into the segmental bronchi, the lobal bronchi. Okay, so as you can see the ts of these um, the ts of this trachea. Okay, so as you can see in the various regions of the layers are present in these particular ts as we moving towards the histology of these trachea. Okay, so as you can see the microscopic structures, whereas the transverse section of the trachea going to show the innermost layer of the mucosa, then will be the lamina propria, and then will be the submucosa, and then will be the haline cartilages and the fibrosa, or the it also known as the adventitia. Okay, so in the mucosa layer, you can see it is lined by the pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium. Okay, pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium. Okay, so before that, I will you note on these the C part, that will be the cross section of these trachea. Okay, from that, the C section region, like the milky white color region from this cross section, you can see that are composed of these haline cartilages, which is highlighted in the yellow color. Okay, these haline cartilages ring. Okay, that is the C shape. So it is not complete. These trachealinous muscles, due to these trachealinous muscles, these haline cartilages do not get complete, and though it is not complete, that going to provide the support for the um, esophagus, which is just beneath from these tracheal muscles. Okay, and these trachealis muscles provides the elasticity. Okay, and the elastic materials are present in these trachealis muscles. Okay, so as you can see, the mucosa of the these tracheal TS. Okay, sorry, this tracheal TS. Okay, just 1 minute. Just disturb these settings. Okay, so this tracheal regions, that the mucosa having these ciliated pseudostratified columnar ciliated epitheliums are present in this the mucosa region. Okay, so these mucosal glands are also present in these mucosa, which going to rest the distinct basement of this membrane. Okay, so there are four type of these cells which occurs in this epithelium layer. Okay, which epithelium layer? Pseudostratified columnar ciliated epithelium. Okay, so it going to the brush cells with the microvilli are present. Okay, and the number of short cells which are going to this pyramidal C shape below the basement membrane, and there is the lamina propria, which going to contains the many elastic fibers, which are comprises by the lymphoid tissues. Okay, so as you can see, the second layer, that will be the submucosa. Okay, and submucosa having the lamina propria is going to thick layer of the submucosa consisting the loose connective tissues over there, and these compound serous and mucus cells are present, that are nothing but the glands of the mucosa. Okay, so these mixed type of the glands going to secrete the serous type of the fluid as well as the mucus type of the fluids. Okay, so their ducts going to open between the epithelial cells, and these blood vessels and the fat cells are also seen in this layer. Okay, which layer? The mucosa layer. Okay, so the submucosa layer. Okay, so these layer, there are no muscularis mucosa and muscularis externa layers are present in this type. Okay, so as we move forward to the tracheal haline cartilages. Okay, so that replaced by these tracheal haline cartilages. So the microscopic structures of the tracheal haline cartilages is supported by the series of the C-shaped cartilage, and the cartilage shows these inner and outer pericranium and middle part going to contain this matrix, the lacunae. Okay, and these chondrocytes. Chondrocytes are nothing but the cells of these haline cartilages. We have seen in the last session, where we have seen for the study of the cartilaginous material in the bone study. Okay, so then will be the complete part of this cartilaginous ring contains the thick layer of the uh, intralacking smooth muscles. So interlacking smooth muscles, where you can see this mucus just from these cartilages. There's chondrocytes are present in these TS, you can see. Okay, then the epithelium layer, where these goblet cells are present. Okay, these ciliated cells, as you can see in this region. Okay, then you can see the mucociliary escalators, where these parietal or these particles of the some debris are also seen in this particular section. Okay, then will be the mucous glands are present, where we know that the where serous type of the fluids are secreted by means of these goblet cells and these ciliated cells, whereas these mucous type of the secretions are secreted by means of these mucous gland in the submucosa region. Okay, so these chondrocytes are these milky white color structures are nothing but the hyaline cartilages, and these chondrocytes are the cells of these hyaline cartilages. Okay, so as we move forward, so these cervical part of this trachea going to located inside the anterior visceral part, the compartment of the neck section. See, it going to begin with the inferior borders, and that are nothing but the level of vertebra and all these things, and it going to end the level of these uh, jugular notch, which is also known as the sternum, and these thoracic vertebrae and all these things. These are nothing but the physiological part, or sorry, the anatomical part, where we discussed earlier also. Okay, so the distinguishing characters. Okay, where the mucosa is unfolded. Okay, and that going to connecting the pseudostratified ciliated columnar epithelial layer is present. Okay, then will be the tracheal glands. There are serous as well as mucous glands are present. Okay, the serous glands by means of the goblet cells, and mucous glands, there are presence of these mucellar acini present in these submucosal region, which are going to secrete the mucuses. Okay, so that these tracheal glands are the mixed type of the glands which are present in the mucosa region as well as the submucosa region. Okay, so the tracheal hyaline cartilages with the C shape incomplete ring present due to the uh, these cartilages or the tracheal muscles are present over there. Okay, the tracheal muscles are uh, providing the elastic stability for the tracheal hyaline cartilages also, and the for the esophagus also. Okay, then the presence of the trachealinous muscles. Okay, these trachealinous muscles, as I said, these are the having the property for the elastic property. Okay, and outermost coat of the fibrosa uh, is present, and it is also known as the adventitia. Okay, so this was for the trachea, and the next session we will discuss for the lungs. Okay, that how the lungs are important in this the respiratory system, and how that respiratory bronchioles and alveolar ducts are uh, providing the oxygen exchange and all these things. Okay, so till the next session, we will meet in the next session. Okay, thank you.